Discovery and deception. The gleaming spires of New Geneva stretched towards the sky, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Amidst the bustle of the United Earth government's capital, Zara Chen made her way through the crowded streets, her mind racing with possibilities. As one of Earth's top investigative journalists, she had built her career on uncovering the truth, no matter how deeply it was buried. Today, however, Zara faced a challenge unlike any other. It had been 5 years since first contact with the Araxians, a seemingly benevolent alien race that had ushered humanity into a new era of technological advancement and interstellar exploration. The alliance between humans and Araxians had led to the rapid colonization of nearby star systems, with millions of Earth's inhabitants venturing forth to build new lives on distant worlds. But beneath the veneer of progress and cooperation, darkness lurked. Rumors had begun to surface, whispers of Araxian atrocities committed against human colonists on the fringes of explored space. Official channels dismissed these claims as baseless propaganda, yet Zara's instincts told her there was more to the story. As she entered the towering UEG headquarters, Zara's comlink buzzed. A message from an anonymous source. "Meet me at the Lunar Lounge. 2200 hours. Come alone." Her heart raced with anticipation. This could be the break she'd been waiting for. The day dragged on, filled with mundane press conferences and carefully scripted statements from UEG officials. Zara played her part, asking the expected questions while keeping her true intentions hidden. As night fell, she made her way to the Lunar Lounge, a dimly lit bar favored by off-duty diplomats and government workers. In a secluded booth, she found her contact, a nervous-looking man with darting eyes. He introduced himself as Marcus, a low-level data analyst for the UEG's Department of Extraterrestrial Affairs. "I've seen things," Marcus whispered, his voice trembling. "Reports that never made it to the public. Entire colonies, just gone. The official story is that they were hit by asteroid impacts or suffered atmospheric failures. But I've seen the truth." Zara leaned in, her voice low and steady. "What truth?" Marcus pulled out a small data chip, pressing it into Zara's hand. "It's all here. Surveillance footage, communication logs, eyewitness accounts. The Araxians, they're not what they seem. General Vexalia, their military leader, she's behind it all." Before Zara could ask more questions, Marcus stood abruptly. "I've said too much. They'll know I talked. I have to go." With that, he disappeared into the crowd, leaving Zara alone with the weight of his revelation. Back in her apartment, Zara examined the contents of the data chip. What she found chilled her to the bone. Grainy footage showed Araxian warships opening fire on defenseless human outposts. Intercepted communications revealed cold discussions of population control and resource acquisition. And at the center of it all was General Vexalia, her mandibles clicking in what Zara could only interpret as satisfaction as she ordered the destruction of yet another human settlement. Zara worked through the night, corroborating the data with her own sources and piecing together a timeline of events. By morning, she had enough to start asking some very uncomfortable questions. Her first stop was the office of Admiral Jackson, the UEG's liaison to the Araxian military. As she was ushered into his presence, Zara noted the tightness around his eyes, the forced nature of his smile. "Ms. Chen," Admiral Jackson greeted her. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Zara cut straight to the chase. "I'm here about the incidents in the Proxima and Ta Ceti systems. I have evidence suggesting Araxian involvement in the destruction of human colonies." The Admiral's face remained impassive, but Zara caught the slight twitch of his left eye. "Those were tragic accidents, Ms. Chen. I'm sure whatever evidence you think you have is a misinterpretation of events. With all due respect, Admiral, I've seen the footage. I've read the communications. This was no accident." Jackson's demeanor shifted, his voice taking on a dangerous edge. "I'd be very careful about making such accusations, Ms. Chen. The alliance between Earth and Iraq's is crucial to our future. We wouldn't want to jeopardize that based on some conspiracy theories. Zara stood her ground. The public has a right to know the truth, Admiral. If the Iraqians are responsible for these attacks, they need to be held accountable. I think we're done here, Jackson said, rising from his chair. I'd strongly advise you to drop this line of inquiry, Ms. Chen. For your own good. As Zara left the Admiral's office, she knew she had struck a nerve. The UEG was clearly aware of the Iraqian attacks and had chosen to cover them up. But why? What did Earth's government gain from this deception? Over the next few days, Zara dug deeper. She reached out to contacts on the affected colonies, piecing together accounts of the attacks. Many were reluctant to speak, fear evident in their voices, but a few brave souls shared their stories. Tales of terror as Iraqian ships appeared in the sky, raining death upon unsuspecting colonists. As her investigation progressed, Zara began to notice she was being followed. Mysterious figures lurked in the shadows, watching her every move. Her communications were clearly being monitored, with strange interruptions and unexplained data losses becoming increasingly common. Then came the threats, anonymous messages warning her to back off, to forget what she had learned. But Zara Chen had never been one to back down from a fight, especially when the truth was at stake. She knew she needed irrefutable proof, something that even the UEG couldn't ignore or explain away. And to get it, she would need to go to the source. Zara began making preparations for a dangerous journey to the very edge of human space, where she hoped to witness the Iraqian deception firsthand. As she boarded a civilian transport bound for the frontier, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. In the crowd of passengers, she caught glimpses of faces that seemed just a little too interested in her movements. Were they UEG agents, Iraqian spies, or merely figments of her increasingly paranoid imagination? The ship lifted off, leaving the safety of Earth behind. Zara stared out the viewport at the receding blue marble, wondering if she would ever see it again. Whatever dangers lay ahead, she was committed to exposing the truth. Humanity deserved to know what was really happening on the frontier, and Zara Chen was determined to be the one to tell them, no matter the cost. As the transport ship entered FTL, carrying her towards uncertainty and danger, Zara clutched the data chip containing the damning evidence. She knew that what she was about to do could change the course of human history. The question was, would humanity be prepared for the truth when she finally revealed it? The journey to the frontier had begun, and with it, a race against time to uncover the full extent of the Iraqian betrayal before it was too late. Uncovering the truth. The colony world of New Horizon loomed large in the transport ship's viewscreen, a swirling marble of blues and greens that reminded Zara of Earth. But as they drew closer, the illusion of paradise shattered. Scars marred the planet's surface, vast, blackened craters visible even from orbit. Asteroid strikes, the ship's captain announced over the intercom, his voice carefully neutral. Tragic business. We'll be docking at the main spaceport shortly. Please prepare for atmospheric entry. Zara knew better. The pattern of destruction was too precise, too calculated to be the result of random cosmic impacts. This was the work of Iraqian weapons, and she was determined to prove it. As the ship descended through New Horizon's atmosphere, Zara's pulse quickened. She had managed to slip away from her Earth-sent shadows during a layover on Mars, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking into a trap. The data chip felt heavy in her pocket, a constant reminder of the stakes. The spaceport was a hive of activity, with colonists and off-worlders mingling in a cacophony of languages and species. Zara kept her head down, using the crowd as cover as she made her way to the exit. She had arranged to meet a contact, Dr. Ilara Voss, a xenobiologist who had been on New Horizon during the alleged asteroid strikes. Zara found Dr. Voss in a rundown cafe on the outskirts of the spaceport. The woman's once bright eyes were now sunken, haunted by the horrors she had witnessed. "I got your message," Dr. Voss said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how much help I can be, They're watching us, you know. Always watching. Zara leaned in close. I need to know what really happened here, Doctor. The official story doesn't add up. Dr. Voss's hands trembled as she pulled out a small holoprojector. I managed to save this before they confiscated all our equipment. It's not much, but the air above the table shimmered as the hologram sprang to life. Zara's breath caught in her throat. The footage showed a peaceful New Horizons settlement, people going about their daily lives. Suddenly, the sky erupted with fire. Araxian warships, their distinctive silhouettes unmistakable, rained death from above. It happened so fast. Dr. Voss choked out. 1 minute we were discussing crop yields. The next, everything was burning. They didn't even try to communicate, just opened fire. Zara's mind raced. This was the proof she needed, but it wasn't enough. She needed to understand why. Do you have any idea what they were after? Why target New Horizon? Dr. Voss hesitated, glancing nervously around the cafe. There were rumors, whispers about something we found in the northern mountains, some kind of alien artifact, predating both humans and Araxians. The research team was sworn to secrecy, but a loud crash from the kitchen made them both jump. Dr. Voss hurriedly pocketed the holoprojector. I've said too much. You need to leave, Ms. Chen. For both our sakes. Zara nodded, her mind already formulating a plan. Thank you, Doctor. Stay safe. As she left the cafe, Zora's journalistic instincts kicked into high gear. An alien artifact that predated both species. That could explain the Araxians' sudden aggression, but she needed more than speculation. She needed hard evidence. Over the next few days, Zara delved deep into New Horizons' underworld. She spoke with smugglers, mercenaries, and displaced colonists, slowly piecing together a picture of what had transpired. The story that emerged was far more sinister than she had imagined. The Araxian attacks weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a systematic campaign of conquest and resource acquisition, hidden behind a mask of benevolence and diplomatic niceties. New Horizon was just one of dozens of human colonies that had been depopulated to make way for Araxian expansion. But the alien artifact was the key. According to her sources, it was some sort of advanced technology capable of manipulating space-time itself. If the Araxians gained control of it, they would have an insurmountable advantage over humanity. Zara knew she had to see the artifact for herself. Using forged credentials and a healthy bribe, she managed to secure passage on a supply run to the northern research outpost. As their transport skimmed over the devastated landscape, Zora's determination hardened. She would expose the truth, no matter the cost. The research outpost was a fortress, bristling with security measures that seemed excessive for a simple scientific installation. Zara's cover as a supply officer got her through the main gate, but she knew her deception wouldn't last long. Slipping away from the supply team, she made her way deeper into the facility. The corridors were eerily empty, the air thick with tension. Something was very wrong here. She found her answer in a cavernous chamber at the heart of the outpost. There, suspended in a shimmering energy field, was an object that defied description. It seemed to shift and twist, its geometry changing in ways that hurt Zora's eyes to look at directly. But it wasn't the artifact that made Zora's blood run cold. It was the figure standing before it, mandibles clicking in quiet satisfaction. General Vexalia herself. The Araxian military leader turned, her compound eyes fixing on Zara with predatory intensity. Ah, the intrepid human journalist, Vexalia's translator crackled. I was wondering when you would find your way here. Zara's hand went to the hidden camera in her jacket, praying she was recording this encounter. General Vexalia, care to explain why you're on a human world you supposedly never attacked? The Araxian's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. Oh, my dear Miss Chen, did you really think your primitive attempts at subterfuge would go unnoticed? We've been aware of your investigation from the beginning. Zara's mind raced. If they knew, why had they let her get this far? Unless This is a trap. Perceptive, Vexalia nodded, but not quite correct. This is an opportunity. For both of us. The general gestured to the artifact. What you see before you is the key to the universe itself. Whoever controls it will shape the destiny of all species. Your leaders understood this. Why do you think they were so eager to cover up our little interventions? Zara felt sick. The UEG was complicit in the murder of its own citizens. Murder is such an ugly word. Vexalia waved a clawed hand dismissively. Think of it as pruning, sacrificing a few branches for the health of the tree. Humanity will have its place in the new order we're building. A subservient place, perhaps, but isn't that preferable to extinction? You're insane, Zara spat. Humanity will never submit to this. Vexalia's compound eyes gleamed. They will if the alternative is annihilation. And you, Ms. Chen, will help us deliver that message. Before Zara could react, Araxian soldiers materialized from hidden alcoves, weapons trained on her. She had walked right into their snare. As they led her away, Zara's mind whirled. She had uncovered the truth, but at what cost? The conspiracy went deeper than she had ever imagined, reaching into the highest echelons of Earth's government. How could she expose it when those in power were complicit? But as the doors of her cell slammed shut, Zara allowed herself a small, grim smile. They had underestimated her. The camera in her jacket wasn't the only one she carried. And the quantum-entangled transmitter sewn into her boot had been broadcasting everything back to a secure server on Earth. The truth was out there now. She only hoped humanity was ready for it. As she sat in the darkness of her cell, Zara Chen knew that the real battle was just beginning. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and she had inadvertently become the catalyst for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. The question now was, what would humanity do with the truth she had uncovered? The galactic stage. The United Earth Government's emergency session erupted into chaos as the holographic displays flickered to life, broadcasting Zara Chen's damning footage across the chamber. Delegates from every nation and off-world colony watched in horror as the truth of the Araxian attacks unfolded before them. Admiral Jackson, his face ashen, gripped the podium with white-knuckled hands. Order. I demand order. But his pleas were drowned out by the rising tide of outrage and disbelief. In the heart of New Geneva, crowds gathered around public view screens, their shocked silence giving way to angry murmurs. The footage cycled through scenes of devastation. Human colonies reduced to ash, punctuated by General Vexalia's cold admission of guilt. Across the galaxy, the reaction was immediate and visceral. Human colonies fortified their defenses, fearing imminent Araxian reprisals. Trade routes between human and Araxian space went dark as ships from both species scrambled for safe harbor. On a dozen worlds, humans and Araxians, who had lived and worked side by side for years, now regarded each other with suspicion and fear. Centuries of progress in interspecies relations teetered on the brink of collapse. Back in the UEG chamber, President Elena Morales finally managed to restore a semblance of order. Her voice, amplified by the room's acoustics, cut through the din. What we have witnessed today shakes the very foundation of our galactic community. But we must not let anger cloud our judgment. We need answers, and we need them now. She turned to Admiral Jackson, her eyes hard. Admiral, you have some explaining to do. Jackson straightened, his military bearing reasserting itself. Madam President, honored delegates, I won't insult your intelligence by denying what you've seen. Yes, we were aware of the Araxian attacks. Yes, we chose to keep that information from the public. The chamber erupted again, but Jackson pressed on. We believed we were acting in humanity's best interests. The artifact discovered on New Horizon. It represents technology beyond our comprehension. In the wrong hands, it could spell the end of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the galaxy. President Morales' voice was ice, and that justified the sacrifice of our own people. Jackson had the grace to look ashamed. We thought we could negotiate, buy time to understand the artifact ourselves. We were wrong. As the implications of Jackson's admission sank in, a new alert flashed across the chamber screens. An Araxian battle fleet had just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Sol system. Panic threatened to overtake the assembly, but President Morella's voice cut through the fear. This is the moment that will define our species. We can succumb to terror, or we can stand united against this threat. I, for one, choose to stand. Her words seemed to awaken something in the gathered delegates. Backs straightened, jaws set with determination. Humanity had been backed into a corner, but it would not go down without a fight. As emergency protocols were enacted and the Earth Defense Fleet mobilized, President Morales opened a channel to the approaching Araxian ships. General Vexalia's insectoid features filled the main view screen, her mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. Ah, President Morales, I see Ms. Chen's little expose it has reached you. How unfortunate. Morales met the alien's gaze unflinchingly. General Vexalia, you stand accused of war crimes against the people of Earth and her colonies. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or face the consequences of your actions. Vexalia's laughter was like the scraping of chitin. You're in no position to make demands, human. We have the artifact. We have your journalist. Soon, we'll have Earth itself. Submit now, and perhaps we'll be merciful. Never, Morales spat. With a gesture, she cut the transmission. As the Araxian fleet drew closer, humanity prepared for war. But even as ships and soldiers mobilized, a smaller drama was unfolding that would shape the conflict to come. In her cell on New Horizon, Zara Chen had not been idle. The Araxians had underestimated human ingenuity, and the lengths to which a determined journalist would go for a story. Using the rudimentary tools she had managed to secrete away, Zara worked tirelessly to access the facility's computer systems. Years of investigating corporate and political corruption had honed her hacking skills to a razor's edge. Bit by bit, she pieced together the true nature of the artifact and the Araxians' plans for it. What she found chilled her to the bone. The artifact wasn't just a weapon or a power source. It was a key to dimensions beyond human comprehension. The Araxians sought to use it to reshape reality itself, to rewrite the fundamental laws of the universe with themselves as the undisputed masters of creation. But the artifact was incomplete. The piece on New Horizon was just one part of a greater whole, with components scattered across the galaxy. The Araxians had been searching for centuries, using the pretense of peaceful exploration to scour countless worlds. Humanity's rapid expansion into space had been an unexpected boon for the Araxians, as humans unknowingly settled worlds containing artifact fragments. The attacks on human colonies hadn't just been about resource acquisition. They had been precision strikes to secure these fragments. As Zara delved deeper into the Araxian database, she discovered something that gave her hope. The artifact responded to conscious thought, and there were signs that human minds were particularly attuned to its frequencies. This was why the Araxians hadn't simply annihilated humanity outright. They needed humans to fully unlock the artifact's potential. Armed with this knowledge, Zara knew she had to escape. Humanity needed every advantage it could get in the coming conflict. As alarms blared throughout the facility, signaling the recall of Araxian forces to the main fleet, Zara made her move. Using the chaos of the mobilization as cover, she slipped out of her cell and into the heart of the Araxian base. Her goal was twofold: to secure hard evidence of the Araxians' true plans and to sabotage their research into the artifact. If she could slow them down even a little, it might give humanity the breathing room it needed to mount a defense. As she worked her way through the facility, planting viruses in computer systems and gathering crucial data, Zara couldn't help but feel the weight of history on her shoulders. The fate of not just humanity, but potentially all life in the galaxy, hung in the balance. In orbit above New Horizon, the Araxian fleet prepared to join the assault on Earth. But thanks to Zara's efforts, they would be doing so with corrupted navigation systems and incomplete data on the artifact's capabilities. As her commandeered shuttle broke atmosphere, Zara allowed herself a grim smile. The real war was just beginning, and humanity would need every scrap of information she had stolen. The journey back to Earth would be perilous, with Araxian patrols scouring space for any human vessels. But Zara was determined to see this through. She had started this fight by uncovering the truth, and she would see it ended, one way or another. As her small ship slipped into FTL, Zara Chen carried with her the hopes of humanity and the key to unraveling the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the cosmos itself. Humanity unites. The Sol system had become a fortress. In the weeks following the Araxian ultimatum, humanity had achieved feats of engineering and cooperation that would have seemed impossible just months before. The shipyards of Mars and the Jovian moons worked around the clock, churning out vessels of war and defense platforms that now bristled from every approach to Earth. But it wasn't just military might that humanity was counting on. As Zara Chen's stolen data spread through secure channels, think tanks and research facilities across human space worked feverishly to understand the true nature of the artifact and how it might be used or countered. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Zara found herself at the center of this whirlwind of activity. Scientists, military strategists, and political leaders hung on her every word as she recounted her experiences and shared her insights into Araxian plans. The artifact responds to conscious thought, Zora explained, her voice hoarse from hours of debriefing. And for some reason, human minds seem to have a stronger connection to it than the Araxians. Dr. Ivan Takashi, Earth's leading genotechnologist, leaned forward intently. That could explain their reluctance to simply wipe us out. They need us to fully unlock its potential. General Marcus Steele, the newly appointed head of Earth's combined defense forces, growled in frustration. Great, so we're lab rats to them. How does this help us fight back? Zara's eyes gleamed with determination. Because if we can understand how to use the artifact before they do, we might just have a chance. As the briefing continued, reports flooded in from across human space. The Araxians had launched simultaneous attacks on a dozen colony worlds, clearly searching for the remaining artifact fragments. But humanity was no longer caught unaware. On New Arcturus, colonists who had once been simple farmers and miners now formed a fierce guerrilla resistance, using their intimate knowledge of the planet's harsh terrain to ambush Araxian search parties. The aliens found themselves bogged down in a grueling ground war they had never anticipated. In the Epsilon Eridani system, a ragtag fleet of civilian ships turned militia harried the Araxian forces, using the system's dense asteroid fields to stage daring hit-and-run attacks. What they lacked in firepower, they made up for in courage and ingenuity. Back on Earth, an unprecedented wave of global unity swept across nations. Old rivalries were set aside in the face of extinction. Resources were pooled, knowledge shared freely. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, and in that crucible, it was forging itself anew. In orbit, the combined fleets of Earth's nations stood vigil, a steel wall between humanity's cradle and the encroaching Araxian armada. But even as they prepared for the inevitable clash, other plans were set in motion. Dr. Takashi's team had made a breakthrough. By studying the artifact fragment recovered from New Horizon, they had developed a prototype device that could detect the unique energy signature of other fragments. It wasn't much, but it gave humanity a fighting chance to find the remaining pieces before the Araxians could claim them all. A daring plan was hatched. While Earth's fleets held the line in Sol, small, elite teams would be dispatched to search for the remaining artifact fragments. It was a desperate gambit, spreading already thin resources even thinner, but the potential payoff was too great to ignore. Zara found herself tapped to lead one of these teams. Her intimate knowledge of Araxian tactics and her experience with the artifact made her uniquely qualified. As she prepared for the mission, she couldn't help but reflect on how far she had come from being a simple investigative journalist. "You don't have to do this, you know," General Steele told her as they overlooked the hangar where her ship was being prepared. "You've already done more than anyone could have asked." Zara shook her head, a wry smile on her lips. "I started this, General. I need to see it through." As she boarded her ship, a sleek vessel designed for stealth and speed, Zara felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The crew, a mix of scientists, special forces operatives, and xenotechnologists, looked to her with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "I won't lie to you," Zara addressed them as the ship prepared for launch. "This mission is dangerous, possibly even suicidal. But what we do here could mean the difference between survival and extinction for our entire species. We carry the hopes of humanity with us." As the ship broke free of Earth's gravity well, Zara took one last look at the blue marble that had birthed her species. She silently vowed to see it again, no matter the cost. Their first target was a remote system on the edge of known space, where unusual energy readings hinted at the presence of an artifact fragment. As they prepared to jump to FTL, news came through of the first major clash between Earth's defense fleet and the Araxian Armada. The battle was fierce, with losses on both sides, but humanity held the line. It was a testament to how far they had come in such a short time, from victims to formidable opponents. As their ship entered the swirling tunnel of FTL, Zora allowed herself a moment of hope. Humanity had been forged in the fires of adversity throughout its history. Now, facing its greatest challenge, it was rising to the occasion once again. The Araxians had underestimated the human spirit, the indomitable will to survive and thrive against all odds. As Zara's ship raced towards its uncertain destiny, she knew that this conflict would define not just the future of humanity, but the shape of the galaxy itself. Across human space, the resistance grew. On 1,000 worlds, in 1,000,000 hearts, the same fire burned. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the dying of the light, and in that defiance, they would find their salvation. As the ship emerged from FTL into an unknown system, scanners immediately picked up Araxian signatures. The race for the artifact fragments was on, and Zara Chen was determined to win it. For Earth, for humanity, and for the future of all sentient life in the galaxy. Justice and consequences. The derelict space station hung silently against the backdrop of a dying red giant, its ancient hull scarred by millennia of cosmic radiation. As Zara's ship, the HS Frontier, approached cautiously, the crew held their breath. After months of desperate searching and narrow escapes, they had finally located what appeared to be the last fragment of the mysterious artifact. But they weren't alone. Araxian signatures detected. The tactical officer reported, her voice tense. 3 warships on an intercept course. Zara's jaw clenched. How long until they reach us? 10 minutes, maybe less. It was a race against time now. Zara turned to Dr. Elena Rossi, the team's xenoarchaeologist. "We need to get aboard that station and secure the fragment before they arrive." Options. Rossi's eyes gleamed with excitement despite the danger. "The station's design matches what we've seen from other artifact sites. If I'm right, the fragment should be in the central chamber." "Then that's where we're going," Zora decided. She turned to Commander Jack Harper, the Special Forces leader attached to their mission. "Commander, get your team ready for boarding. We go in fast and hard." As the Frontier maneuvered alongside the ancient station, Zara couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd come. The past months had been a crucible, testing humanity's resolve in ways they could never have imagined. Earth's defense fleets had held the line against the main Araxian Armada, but at a terrible cost. Millions had died in the relentless battles that raged across the Sol system. Yet for every loss, humanity's determination only seemed to grow stronger. The boarding party moved swiftly through the station's eerie corridors, their path illuminated by the soft glow of emergency lighting that had somehow endured for eons. As they approached the central chamber, Zara felt a familiar tingling at the base of her skull, the same sensation she'd experienced near the artifact on New Horizon. "We're close," she murmured. The chamber doors groaned open, revealing a vast spherical room. At its center, suspended in a field of shimmering energy, floated a fragment of the artifact. Its surface seemed to ripple and shift, defying the laws of physics. Dr. Rossi stepped forward, her instruments scanning furiously. "Incredible. The energy readings are off the charts. This fragment seems to be more active than the others we've encountered." A violent shudder ran through the station, nearly knocking them off their feet. "The Araxians are here," Harper growled. "We need to move." As Rossi worked to deactivate the containment field, Zora's mind raced. They were out of time and options. In a split-second decision that would change the course of the war, she stepped forward and reached for the artifact fragment. The moment her fingers touched its surface, the world exploded into light and sound. Zara felt her consciousness expand, stretching across time and space. In that infinite moment, she saw the truth of the artifact. Not a weapon, but a key to understanding the very fabric of the universe. Images flooded her mind. The rise and fall of countless civilizations, the birth and death of stars, the intricate dance of galaxies across the cosmic stage. And through it all, a singular truth emerged. Life, in all its diverse forms, was precious and interconnected. With a gasp, Zara returned to her body. But she was changed. The knowledge imparted by the artifact fragment burned within her, demanding to be used. "Zara." Rossi's voice seemed to come from far away. "Are you all right?" Before she could respond, the chamber doors blew inward. General Vex'Alia stormed in, flanked by heavily armed Araxian soldiers. At last, the Araxian leader hissed, "The final piece. Hand it over, human, and I may yet spare your pitiful species." Zara stood tall, the artifact fragment pulsing gently in her grasp. "I don't think so, General. You never understood what this really was. It was never meant to be a weapon." Vex'Alia's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Foolish creature, you cannot hope to comprehend its power. Give it to me now, or watch your world burn." In that moment, Zara knew what she had to do. Closing her eyes, she focused on the knowledge imparted by the artifact. Energy crackled around her as the fragment began to glow. "What are you doing?" Vex'Alia screeched, raising her weapon. But it was too late. A wave of energy pulsed outward from Zara, enveloping everyone in the chamber, human and Araxian alike. As it washed over them, minds expanded and understanding bloomed. In an instant, the Araxians saw the error of their ways. The artifact had not been meant to dominate, but to unite. It was a repository of knowledge left behind by an ancient race, meant to guide younger species toward enlightenment and cooperation. General Vex'Alia lowered her weapon, her compound eyes wide with shock and newfound comprehension. What have we done?" Zara stepped forward, her voice firm but compassionate. "What's done is done, General, but it's not too late to make amends. The artifact has shown us a better way, a future where all sentient species can coexist and thrive together." In the days that followed, the galaxy witnessed an unprecedented change. The Araxian fleet withdrew from Earth, not in defeat, but in a gesture of peace. Vex'Alia herself stood before the United Earth government, offering a formal apology and a pledge to make reparations for the harm they had caused. The knowledge contained within the artifact ushered in a new era of scientific and spiritual advancement. Humanity and Araxians worked together to unlock its secrets, leading to breakthroughs in technology, medicine, and understanding of the cosmos. Zara Chen, once a simple investigative journalist, found herself at the center of this new galactic order. Her connection to the artifact made her a bridge between species, a symbol of the unity that was now possible. As she stood on the observation deck of the newly christened Galactic Cooperation Station, watching ships from a dozen species dock peacefully alongside one another, Zara reflected on the long, arduous journey that had brought them to this point. The cost had been high, millions of lives lost, worlds scarred by conflict. But from those ashes, a new and brighter future had emerged. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The artifact had shown them that the true power of any species lay not in domination, but in cooperation. In working together, in embracing diversity, they could achieve wonders beyond imagination. As a sleek diplomatic shuttle approached, carrying representatives from a newly discovered sentient species eager to join the galactic community, Zara smiled. The future was uncertain, full of challenges and opportunities, but whatever came next, she knew that humanity, and indeed all sentient life, would face it together. The end of one story had become the beginning of a far grander tale, and Zara Chen, along with countless others across the galaxy, looked forward to writing its next chapter.